Hi, do you know what the definition of success is? Do you know what happiness is? Well, I think we know what it is. We think that we see other people that are happy or that we think are happy and we think are successful and we think they have it all. And then we find out that they committed suicide. And we think that just doesn't make sense. They seem to have had it all. And, or in our definition, we would have thought that was it. So I wanted to share with you some things that I think are important in keeping balanced. Because if any one of 6 areas in your life is out of balance, one's maybe dominant and one's not, and it's not really balanced, then we don't make really good balanced decisions. So that's my belief. I think that these areas are something we need to be aware of because we've heard that there's an epidemic now of suicides. And that to me is very disturbing. So let me explain. The first area that I'm talking about is your self awareness. Now, what do I mean by that? So, self awareness is who are you really? Not what someone else thinks you should be, not what your family or your boss or society thinks you should be. But are you aware of who you really are inside and what you need to do to be authentic, that authentic self? So check in with yourself and ask those questions. Am I living in the past? Am I pretending to be someone that I used to be? Am I pretending to be someone that I want to be? Who am I? Am I being somebody that someone else wants me to be? Did I get caught up in a frenzy and I'm just going along for the ride and it's not really me anymore? So just check in and make sure that you can answer those questions. You might not have specific answers. You might say, I'm a little confused at who I am right now. But it's something you need to think about. So that's awareness number one. Area of awareness is your physical body. So be aware of what's going on with your physical body at that time when you're thinking of making a decision. Because a lot of times people make decisions from areas of pain. Are you in physical pain? Do you have an illness? Is this acute pain or is it chronic pain? Because those things will make a difference on how you relate to making a decision. And be aware that by asking certain questions, you can release pain. You might ask yourself or learn techniques to help release pain. Now, you may not be able to release it all, but you can release or learn to release some of your pain. And be aware that when you're in pain, we often tend to retreat or do things that maybe are not in our best interest just to, avoid the pain. And then sometimes the pain is there for a good reason. I know that sounds kind of bizarre, but that's true. It's an area where we need to be asking, where is this pain coming from if you don't know? Because it might be a warning to us, and we need to know where it is and be checking in so that if it's something you need to deal with, you can check in and then get the appropriate help that you need. Be aware that your body has rhythms to it. And sometimes you may wake up and you're feeling in the lower part of the rhythm, and that's just part of the rhythm. And so accept that. Accept that your body has a rhythm, just like the earth has rhythms, this moon has rhythms. There are certain rhythms, and we just need to be aware that that's part of our life. And so check in. Again, I want you to always be checking in and ask certain questions, because sometimes what we think we know on the outside is not really the message that we are meant to receive. And it's not until we ask the questions of ourselves by checking in that we really learn what we were supposed to get as far as information. So check in. If this area is a dominant area of your life, which is, physical discomfort, then you just be aware that if you're making decisions from that area, it's not really going to be a balanced area. And that sometimes happens with people when they are in a lot of pain. They make decisions only from that area. It's just one aspect of you. And when you realize that there's more to it, then a lot of times some of the pain will diminish. Okay, so the next area is your mental awareness. And by mental awareness, I mean your inner voice. What are you listening to? If you're in a lot of physical pain, you may not like your body right now. And you might be criticizing your body or yourself. How did I get sick? Or how did this happen? You might be saying a lot of negative things that influences how you make decisions. So be aware of that. I'm not saying any of this is wrong. I'm just saying be aware that these voices or these dialogues are going on and they're only part of you. They're not the full you. So you want to make a decision based on the full you, not just one part of you, not just your mental area. Okay, so another area is emotional awareness. And when you're having emotions, ask yourself, are they really mine? I used to get so wrapped up. Empathy is a wonderful thing, but I would get so wrapped up in someone else's pain that I took it on and it became my pain. And then I wasn't any good to myself. So be aware of your emotional um, feelings and whose are they? Are they really yours? And I believe that that's why we have such uh, a big area of codependence, because we like to take on other people's problem because we're caring people and we want to eliminate somebody else's pain. But we're not supposed to be taking on someone's pain. We're supposed to be supportive to help them through it. It's the same thing as, the butterfly needs to work through that cocoon so that they develop their own strength. So if you rob someone of being able to work through some of their emotional problems, then you rob them of the strength that they can gain from that problem. We're all meant to grow, and if you rob somebody of that by taking it on, you've done them a disservice and you've really kind of crippled yourself. So be aware of emotions. Are they really yours? Do you take on a lot of feelings? Sometimes people are so aware of other people's feelings towards them, and they, take it on, and then we embrace it. And we need to kind of let go and just be aware of what our emotions are for ourselves and not somebody else's. So that's an awareness. When you're going through something that's really emotional, make sure that they're your emotions and not somebody else's. The next area that I want to talk to you about that you need to be aware of is a spiritual connection. Now, a spiritual connection could be anything from your belief in a higher power and connecting with that. It could be your yoga practice. It could be a walk with nature, connecting to Mother Earth. But it's a quiet time when you're listening. It's more about listening and connecting with something outside of you, whatever that is to you. And I know that when I've listened to that, wonderful things have happened. I've had story ideas A lot of people think it's their gut. You know, oh, I had this wonderful feeling in my gut, or I got this message. That's a spiritual connection. Make sure that you are giving time for that spiritual connection, and you're not just working, 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 and you never connect with nature or that listening. So check in with that spiritual connection, because when you make that spiritual connection, there's a whole nother aspect of yourself that is so important to realize. And that comes from what people call their gut or their heart, that connection. You can't always describe it, but it's something that's outside of you, and yet when you connect, it seems like it is so much your authentic self. So check in with that on a regular basis. Okay, and the last part is a social awareness. What's your impact with others? How do you think your relationship with family, with friends, with the world, what is that to you? And what decisions are you making based on your connection with the world? So, if you're having pain, if you're having an area that you need help with, reach out to somebody, because sometimes by you reaching out, you're going to help not only yourself, but somebody else. Because a lot of times, somebody else thought they were the only one with that issue. And so if you reach out to them, they're going, oh, I've had that too. So now they don't feel alone, and you have gotten some support. So it's really important to understand that we are not meant to be by ourselves. And oftentimes we will retreat. That's what I used to do. When I was having an issue, I would retreat. I would go inside, and I was on lockdown, shut down, and nobody was going to get in. And I based some of my poorest decisions when I was in that space. So we need to step back. You know that expression, you can't see the forest for the trees? If you were right smack up against a big 6-foot wide sequoia tree, you would think you would have no way around it. But when you back up and you see the whole forest, you see now you have avenues and you have ways to navigate. And it's the same thing with being aware of the areas of yourself. And be aware of where you need help and where your strengths are before you make any major decisions. Just have that awareness. Check in with those 6 areas. And again, let's go over them again. It's self. Be aware of who you are. Be aware of your physical. What's going on with you physically today? You know, how are you feeling? How's your energy? You know, and I teach a whole thing on brain optimization, so you're not in brain fog and feeling low. So check in with that, because you don't really want to be making decisions when you're in a fog. And the third part is mental. What kind of dialogue are you having with yourself? Fourth part is emotional. Make sure the emotions that you're having are yours. And what are they? Identify them, because a lot of times people really don't know what they're feeling. So ask yourself, what am I feeling? Am I feeling sadness? Am I feeling confusion? Am I feeling it? So check in. Again, ask questions of yourself. And the other connection is the spiritual. Find out what kind of connection are you having with the universe, with Mother Nature, with your gut, with your heart. what's going on there. We often get messages based on that. I got a whole message on writing one of my stories when I checked in that way. And I came up with a really awesome story based on just checking in. And the last one is the social. Make sure that you stay connected to other people around you because we are not meant to be isolated. Make sure that you're asking these questions and checking in before you make any major decisions, because that way you can see where you're balanced or imbalanced and you'll make better decisions. And remember, I'm here for you too. If you have any questions or you need any help, you can contact me. I'm Elizabeth Hebert at yourdreamesteem.com.